The wrestling world exploded when Jon Moxley stepped into the ring with one clear mission: to utterly destroy Don Callis both physically and mentally. What unfolded was a brutal spectacle that left fans screaming and social media burning with reactions. If you're a fan of intense professional wrestling drama, hit that subscribe button right now because you won't want to miss moments like these. The tension between Moxley and Callis had been building for weeks, but nobody expected what happened when these two finally collided. The animosity started when Callis made the grave mistake of interfering in Moxley's championship pursuits, using his stable of wrestlers as pawns in a dangerous game. Moxley, never one to back down from confrontation, made it clear that he would make Callis pay for every underhanded tactic, every cheap shot, and every manipulation. The question wasn't if Moxley would get his hands on Callis, but when and how devastating the encounter would be. From the moment Moxley's music hit, the arena transformed into a cauldron of anticipation. The former world champion walked to the ring with that signature intensity burning in his eyes, the kind of focus that has made him one of the most dangerous competitors in professional wrestling. Callis, positioned at ringside with his security detail, wore his usual smug expression, believing he was untouchable behind his wall of protection. That confidence would soon evaporate in spectacular fashion. The match that preceded the confrontation served as mere prologue to the main event everyone truly wanted to see. As the bell rang and the wrestlers engaged, Callis couldn't resist his usual antics, shouting instructions and taunting from his protected position. What he failed to notice was Moxley positioning himself strategically, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The atmosphere grew electric as fans sensed something explosive was about to happen. When Moxley finally made his move, it was swift and decisive. He rolled out of the ring, his eyes locked on Callis with predatory precision. The color drained from Callis's face as he realized his security team was positioned just far enough away to give Moxley the opening he needed. The promoter attempted to backpedal, shouting threats and promises, but Moxley was beyond words now. This was about retribution, about showing that no amount of money or muscle could protect someone who crossed the wrong person. The first contact between them sent shockwaves through the crowd. Moxley grabbed Callis by his expensive suit jacket, yanking him forward with such force that the fabric tore. Callis stumbled, his carefully styled hair falling into disarray, his composed demeanor shattering like glass. For months, this man had operated from the shadows, pulling strings and manipulating outcomes while never facing real consequences. That protection disappeared the instant Moxley's hands closed around him. Security rushed in, but Moxley had planned for this. He maneuvered Callis like a human shield, using the promoter's body to keep the guards at bay while delivering pointed strikes that left Callis gasping. The crowd roared its approval, years of frustration at Callis's scheming finally finding release. Every punch Moxley landed represented every dirty trick, every stolen opportunity, every moment Callis had corrupted the sport for his personal gain. The situation escalated when Moxley dragged Callis toward the ring apron. The hard edge of the ring has ended many careers, and Callis knew it. His protests turned to genuine pleas as Moxley lifted him, positioning his body for maximum impact. The slam that followed echoed through the arena, Callis's body crumpling against the unforgiving surface. Moxley wasn't finished though. He pulled Callis up again, forcing the promoter to look into his eyes, making sure he understood that this was personal. Inside the ring, the official match had completely broken down. Wrestlers on both sides stopped their competition to witness the destruction unfolding outside. Some of Callis's contracted athletes looked torn, uncertain whether to help their benefactor or let street justice take its course. That hesitation spoke volumes about the respect Callis had actually earned from those he employed. Fear and money can buy loyalty, but they can't buy the willingness to step in front of an enraged Jon Moxley. Moxley transitioned to verbal warfare, grabbing a microphone while maintaining his grip on Callis. His words cut deeper than any physical blow could. He exposed Callis's tactics, his manipulation, his cowardice. Every sentence landed like a hammer, dismantling the carefully constructed image Callis had built. The promoter tried to respond, but his voice came out weak and trembling, a stark contrast to the booming confidence he usually projected. The humiliation was total and public. The crowd chanted Moxley's name as he continued the assault, mixing psychological torture with physical dominance. He forced Callis to crawl, to beg, to show the world what happened when the mask of power got ripped away. Callis, who had always presented himself as the smartest person in the room, now looked pathetic and desperate. His expensive suit was ruined, his face was bruised, and his dignity lay in tatters on the arena floor. When Moxley finally threw Callis into the ring, it seemed the nightmare might be ending. But Moxley had one more statement to make. He positioned Callis in the center of the ring, that sacred space where warriors prove themselves, and delivered his signature finishing move. The impact drove every bit of air from Callis's lungs, leaving him a broken heap while Moxley stood over him, arms raised in triumph. The message was clear: there are consequences for crossing certain lines. The aftermath saw Callis stretchered from the arena, his allies rushing to his aid while maintaining a careful distance from Moxley. Medical personnel checked him over as the crowd continued celebrating, their bloodlust satisfied by seeing justice delivered. Moxley remained in the ring, soaking in the reaction, his mission accomplished. He had proven that no amount of scheming could protect someone when real violence came calling. Backstage reports revealed that Callis required significant medical attention, though his injuries were more to his pride than his body. The humiliation of being manhandled in front of millions would sting far longer than any bruise. His credibility as a power broker took a serious hit, with many questioning how he could maintain control when he couldn't even protect himself. The wrestling business respects strength, and Callis had shown none when it mattered most. The incident sparked immediate controversy across the wrestling community. Fans debated whether Moxley had gone too far or if Callis had finally received the comeuppance he deserved. Social media exploded with clips of the encounter, each angle revealing new details of the systematic destruction Moxley had delivered. Television ratings for the segment broke records, proving that audiences still craved authentic intensity and real stakes in their wrestling programming. Callis' stable of wrestlers faced their own crisis in the wake of their leader's humiliation. Some questioned whether aligning with him was worth the risk, while others saw opportunity in the power vacuum. The group's unity, always fragile, began showing serious cracks. Moxley had struck not just at Callis but at the entire infrastructure he had built, potentially triggering a complete collapse of the faction. Moxley gave interviews following the incident, showing no remorse for his actions. He explained that Callis had repeatedly crossed lines that demanded a physical response, and that talking would have accomplished nothing. The wrestling world operates on different rules, and sometimes the only way to settle disputes is through violence. His words resonated with fans who appreciated the raw honesty and rejection of corporate sanitization. The confrontation also elevated Moxley's status within the company. Management had to walk a fine line between condemning the unauthorized attack and acknowledging that it created compelling television. Ratings don't lie, and the Moxley-Callis segment drew eyes and generated buzz. Behind closed doors, there were discussions about how to capitalize on the momentum while maintaining some semblance of order. Callis eventually returned to television, though noticeably changed. His swagger was diminished, his confidence shaken. He still attempted to control his wrestlers from ringside, but everyone remembered the image of him broken and helpless in that ring. The power dynamics had shifted irreversibly. Moxley had proven that Callis was vulnerable, and that knowledge emboldened others to challenge his authority. The feud between these two intensified rather than resolved after their physical confrontation. Callis sought revenge through various schemes, sending multiple wrestlers to attack Moxley in an attempt to overwhelm him with numbers. These attempts largely failed, with Moxley fighting through each assault, further cementing his reputation as someone who couldn't be broken through conventional means. Each failed attempt only highlighted Callis' inability to handle Moxley directly. Wrestling analysts pointed to this confrontation as a perfect example of organic storytelling in professional wrestling. The hatred felt genuine because it was rooted in months of escalating tension. The payoff satisfied fans because it delivered on the promise of seeing Callis face consequences for his actions. Too often, villainous authority figures operate with impunity, but Moxley's assault provided the catharsis audiences craved. The broader implications extended beyond just these two individuals. Other wrestlers took note that management allowed such a brutal public attack to occur with minimal consequences for Moxley. This sent a message about what behavior might be tolerated if it generated sufficient interest in revenue. The line between scripted entertainment and genuine animosity blurred in ways that made the product feel more dangerous and unpredictable. Behind the scenes, the locker room reportedly gave Moxley significant respect for how he handled the situation. Callis wasn't universally loved among the roster, with many viewing him as a manipulative outsider more concerned with personal gain than the sport's integrity. Seeing him taken down several notches resonated with wrestlers who had suffered under his machinations but lacked Moxley's position and power to retaliate. The incident became a defining moment in both men's careers. For Moxley, it reinforced his image as someone willing to cross any line to settle scores and protect his interests. For Callis, it exposed vulnerabilities he had previously kept hidden behind layers of protection and manipulation. Their feud would continue for months, but this confrontation remained the centerpiece, the moment when everything changed between them. Future encounters between Moxley and Callis carried a different energy after this beating. Callis became noticeably more cautious, always ensuring multiple bodyguards surrounded him when Moxley was near. The fear in his eyes was genuine now, the memory of that humiliation preventing him from ever fully regaining his previous confidence. Moxley, meanwhile, seemed satisfied that he had made his point but remained ready to deliver further punishment if provoked. The wrestling world continues discussing this confrontation as one of the most intense personal feuds in recent memory. It demonstrated that even in a predetermined sport, real emotion and genuine conflict could elevate storytelling to another level. Fans appreciated the authenticity, the sense that these two truly despised each other and that their violence served a purpose beyond simple entertainment. If moments like this get your blood pumping and make you appreciate the raw intensity of professional wrestling, make sure you subscribe to catch every explosive encounter, every brutal confrontation, and every time someone finally gets exactly what they deserve.